Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So, I will start out, our football team is excited about the Russell Athletic Bowl down in Orlando. We're excited about the quality team that we have the opportunity to compete against in Baylor University. And I'm sure by this time you guys know that I've got a lot of ties down there. And it was kind of where I cut my teeth on college coaching. So know a lot of people down there, have a lot of friends still from that area, and so should be a lot of fun.
Coach, when you think about this season and what y'all accomplished, if you go back to the last bowl game, Quick Lane Bowl, did you get more out of it in terms of, the reps for the team, or was it more beneficial because it allowed those locker room issues to come to a head?
No, I think anytime, just having the opportunity to practice more is always something that you're striving for. So that was a really good thing for us, that we got a lot of young kids, a lot of reps to go into this year, because it's kind of a pre-spring is what you look at. It's not all of it, because you eventually have to start working on an opponent, but probably 4 to 5 practices were based on kind of a pre-spring type of orientation. So I thought it was really good. It helped, and every time you're in a bowl game, you get that opportunity. So we will be doing the same thing this year.
What is the practice schedule? Are you going to get in all 15 before the game? I
don't know that we'll get in 14. We'll probably get in around 12 practices, I'm guessing, somewhere in that area. And I got to give these guys off a few days to go home for Christmas.
How do you plan to handle, play calling and coaching duties now on that side of the ball?
Yeah, right now we're game planning the same way we always have as an offensive staff. And right now, I haven't really finally decided how it's going to go down in the game. I think that I will probably be more involved than I have been. And so, but that doesn't mean that I'll be making all the calls. So I've got guys on our staff that can handle it without a problem. So I just need to make the final decision on how we're going to do it.
Is that something you're going to try to do well in advance, or
after we get the game plan in, we'll probably at that time start making decisions on how we're going to call it.
And then how quickly do you think you'll have the game plan? And I guess timeline of before the bowl game.
Oh yeah, we'll have the game plan. Let's say we'll be finalized on the game plan probably by the end of the day tomorrow. Yeah.
Is part of that also determining who goes into the booth now? Like Coach Eck, for example, might go into the booth, or?
Well, Coach Eck's been in the booth.
Well, what I'm saying is,
I don't know
only
that,
him, or
and I don't know that Andrew Mitchell, who is our offensive GA, will take over the tight ends. So, and he's already up in the booth, so he'll probably stay up there. I don't think that we'll add anybody else to the booth.
2 years ago, when Walt, when Blake left, did Walt call the majority of those plays, or how involved were you with that?
Yeah, I was involved, but Walt called the plays. I wanted to see how he handled play calling, and he did a nice job with it. But yeah, I was involved, definitely.
So how easy would it be for you to call plays from the sideline?
I could do it. Wouldn't be an issue. For me, because I like to be able to try to get into the right play versus the right look. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to see shades and three techniques and things like that. But it's something that we've done.
when you were at OC, did you ever call a game from the sideline?
No, I always called it from the top. Yeah, I like it better up there.
Would it be Heckendorf be the one that would be most likely to call?
Possibly
Or
at this
it could
time.
be any of those, several of those guys, I guess.
Yeah, it could be it could be anybody on the offensive staff actually.
Okay.
Probably the only one it wouldn't be would be Larry Porter, because Larry handles all of our special teams. So it wouldn't make sense.
Have you made any progress with trying to find an offensive coordinator, or are you going to wait till after the bowl game?
I have not made a decision on when I'm going to do it. I don't feel like that I'm stressed for time in this situation. One, it's not going to change what we do in the bowl game. Two, it's not going to really change recruiting, because the kids out there know we're going to run our offense. So it's not like, they got to worry about who's going to come in here and how the offense is going to change, because it's not going to change. So it's more about making sure we get the right person and the right fit and the right chemistry for our staff.
Having seen an extremely athletic team in Clemson the last game, how does that help you prepare for a team like Baylor that's very similar?
Yeah, well, we hope it does, because Clemson's a Clemson's a heck of a football team, as we found out and knew, and, you know, Baylor is too. I mean, Baylor's got the best wide receiver in the country, just won the Blitnikoff, I mean, and, they got a couple of them, but he specifically, the Coleman kid, is really special. You know, and then they've got, they run the ball extremely well. I mean, they're way up there in the running game, and so they're gonna spread you out, throw the ball vertically down the field, and they're gonna run the football. They do a great job of it, really good up front in the offensive line. You know, you go around on the other side of the ball defensively. I mean, they've got a first-team All-American at their nose tackle and the Billings kid. They got the open kid on the end. They got linebackers that can run, and they got guys in the secondary that can cover. So, yeah, it should be a heck of a matchup and a heck of a battle.
Coach, how significant was the 12th meeting program?
Well, it's never been done. Never been done in the history of this program. So to me, that'd be pretty significant. You know, it'd be pretty special, especially for this senior class and the legacy that they leave.
What does it say about those seniors? You know, obviously you would like to beat Clemson, but to even be on the chance to get that 12th win, what does it say about this group that through all the obstacles that they've had to go through, that they're at this point now?
Yeah, if you look at, especially the 5 that have been here for their 5th year, and then the others, I mean, and all the things, and you guys know better than me, because 5 of them were here before I got here, and so, you know what they were going through and what was going on in the program and what's gone on for the last 4 years. So I can't say enough great things about the way these guys have stepped up and provided leadership for this team throughout this season. And you know, I think just like anything else, as you look back on your life, it's usually the adversity, the hardships, and the things that you endure and the things that you overcome that mold who you are, and usually good things come out of those things. They really do. If you keep a real positive attitude and you you know, you learn from your mistakes and you grow on a daily basis, usually good things are going to happen, and I think that's what's happened this year.
I know you and the staff were out all week. When did you meet, when have you met with the team since you've been back, and what was the message?
Well, we started on Saturday. Our first practice was Saturday morning, and we, you know, talked about what we needed to accomplish for this game, and you know, just the basic things that we're going to do as far as schedule wise, and you know, because everybody, you know, you're in the holidays, and so everybody wants to know what the schedule's going to be, you know, what's going to happen at the bowl game, all those things. And so there's a lot of, you know, for one, not knowing until, you know, that Sunday where we were going and what we were going to do, makes it hard on me, because I like to have everything planned out a long way in advance. And you're unable to do that because of our scenarios. So, you know, then it was a scramble for me, because I went on the road recruiting that next morning of that week, and we were recruiting the whole week. And so trying to get, you know, the bowl practices organized and the schedule detailed all the way through, it made it difficult. But we've got it accomplished, and the guys are ready, and they're excited about the opportunity.
I just want to get a feel for how the guys responded to losing the game. I mean, it's been a long time since they've lost and been on quite a roll. You've been out recruiting, so have you gotten a feel for how they sort of have handled
Yeah, I mean,
disappointment of that?
you know, I mean, it's funny about this group. I've been saying all year, you know, they just kind of stay at that one level, and that's really the way it's been. I mean, you came out practice Saturday and Sunday and yesterday, and we had really good practices like they always are. I mean, and they were upbeat and positive, and you know, they were down after that game, no doubt about it. They wanted to win the ACC championship. It felt like that they were right there and had an opportunity and just didn't get it done. And so they were disappointed. But at the same time, I know they've put it to bed by now, and they've moved on, and now our focus is on Baylor University.
Have you heard something from the league about the missed call?
I have not.
You don't expect to at this point?
You described Baylor's offense.
I will shake my head so it'll just go away, and that way
I understand.
You described Baylor's offense. It kind of sounded similar to what y'all do here at UNC. Is that easier to prepare for when you're going against an offense that has similar kickers?
Yeah, I don't know if it's easy. I mean, they're, you know, they're the number 1 offense in the country, I think, in just about every statistic. I mean, they are explosive, yards, touchdowns. I mean, they got one receiver that's got 20 touchdowns already. I mean, so they're pretty phenomenal in what they do, you know. And they when they say they spread the field, they spread the field. I mean, they widen you out. Those receivers will be outside the numbers, and that's a lot of room to cover. to stop the running game, and you gotta make a decision what you're gonna do, and they've proven they can beat you with either one. You know?
Larry,
So that's how, there is similarity that way.
Is it easier because you go against that, and practice defense goes against that kind of spread offense, every day?
I don't know, because they don't go against it every day. They go through it against every day in spring and in fall camp. And then once the season starts, they're preparing for whatever team they're playing from that point on. But there is knowledge, and you hope they're able to draw on those things, yes.
after their two quarterbacks got hurt, they kind of went heavy with the run game. I think they had 66 rushes or more in their final 3 games. How has that kind of changed? Brow said Chris Johnson yesterday was going to start the ball game. How does that change what they do?
Well, again, I'll have to ask Gene and them to really, because I haven't really studied it since the Johnson kid took over. I did, while we were waiting around for the day of the Clemson game, I was watching on TV the game against Texas. So I did get to see all of that. And they were very different than what they were when Chris Johnson was the quarterback, I think, because they didn't have many options after that. And so, I can't remember when Chris took over, when Jared went down.
3 weeks left to go.
So, we'll probably really work hard on those 3 or 4 games and break those down.
Art's sort of a legendary figure, I guess, in Texas from coming up through the high school ranks.
Yeah.
When did you first become aware of him, and were you kind of drawn to him because of the kind of offense that he was running?
I was actually, the first time I met Art was in his field house there at Stephenville High School, because I was recruiting his quarterback, Brandon Stewart. That was many years ago, and I was a position coach at the University of Baylor, or Baylor University, and Art was the head coach at Stephenville, and I was going to his games, watching him win a state championship. I was recruiting that quarterback extremely hard. Yeah.
Did you recognize at that time that this thing he
Oh,
was
yeah,
running
I
was
thought,
something?
because what he was doing at Steveville hadn't been done.
Yeah.
They had not had a lot of success in the past, and he came in there and won a lot of football games and a lot of state championships. So I knew, and he was a great guy. He, typical Texas high school coach. And he just did a heck of a job, and was good to me. So that's the first time I met Art, and have known him ever since.
But he was doing something different at that time, right?
Oh yeah, they were spreading it out. They were doing things with tempo. I remember him showing me his call sheet one day for the game, and it was a piece of paper. And first of all, I had to have a magnifying glass to read all of it. And it was just, every centimeter of the paper was taken up in handwritten calls. And it was pretty cool.
You mentioned your familiarity with that program. Have you heard anything or talked to anyone over there since you guys found out you're going to be playing in the bowl?
Mainly Baylor alums that I have stayed in contact with over the years. That have been friends ever since I left, and it doesn't happen a lot of times when you leave a place. Usually you leave and you don't hear from anybody again. But there were quite a few people that I'm still close with, and so I had 2 children that were born there in Waco, and so still have contact, not just this year, but in all the years with quite a few people from there, because they're good friends.
In bowl practice, do you make it a point to get these freshmen more reps, the redshirt freshmen, since you have so much more time? Is
Yeah,
that
especially
a conscious
early.
effort?
Yeah, especially early. In fact, these last 3 practices we've had to this point have all been about us, and nothing to have to do with Baylor. Again, kind of pre-spring practices. One day the seniors were graduating, and so they weren't even at practice. So it was more about all the other guys and the guys maybe who haven't had as many reps, and trying to get them a lot of reps during this time period as we go into spring. It gives us an idea of how they've grown through the season.
What do you take away from what you see from that? Is that just kind of prep you for what to expect in the spring with those guys?
Yeah, it gives you a better idea of where those guys are in the spring, where their deficiencies are, where they need to improve, and you're able to communicate that with them so they know between now and spring ball what they need to work on.
One other question about the open OC job. Have you noticed that there's a lot more outside desire to be here now in that spot than there was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of people that are very interested. The last 2 guys came in here and became head coaches, so, I think they think that they're going to walk in here and they're going to become a head coach. So And I think because our offense has a great track record from not only here, but every place we've been, that they see it as an offense they would like to learn what we do. And, I mean, if I was a coach outside of it, I'd want to, and so just as I like to study other successful offenses, I'm sure that people would like to study ours, so, but yeah, the response has been really unbelievable, yeah. Overwhelming, actually.
Baylor's got so many, even with the run game, they're really explosive on the
Yeah.
ground, even with third-string quarterback. What's kind of the key defensively to not, and you guys have been so good at not giving up explosive plays, as you call them. What's the kind of the key to either, do you try to not give any up at all, or you just kind of like not be, as you said, emotionally defeated by those big plays when they happen?
Well, we're always trying to, have no catastrophics. I mean, we don't ever want to give up a big play. And that's what they do, along with our philosophy of spreading the field to create seams in the defense. You have opportunities for explosive plays. And then they got some guys that can go line to goal line. And so it makes it very difficult, when you got to make a decision. Do we keep safeties in, over the top to help with the Coleman and the Katie Cannon and those kind of guys? And then when you do, you open up more opportunities in the running game, or do we have safeties that help get involved in the running game, and then you end up one-on-one situations with those guys? So it's like pick your poison, makes it really tough.
From an emotional standpoint, how has your defense been able to, because I think you've talked about their maturity a lot, how have they been able to what's kind of key in not letting, one of those plays turn into 5 of those plays or 10 of those plays in the game?
Well, I think it's one, they understand what they're supposed to do, and they hold each other accountable to doing their job. And they know if they do their job, they're not going to give up those big plays because the defense is designed that way. If somebody sticks their head in a different gap, or somebody does something in coverage that they're not supposed to do, you have an opportunity for an explosive play or a catastrophic play. And usually when we have